Here we go. Good afternoon, Crystal. How are you?
I am fine. And yourself?
I am super jazz. Always great to hang out with you for half an hour or so.
Oh, that's
Looking forward to
cool.
that. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while. As you know, it's not exactly about 401k plans, but it is exactly about 401k plans if you twist it. You saw that in the notes I sent you. So definitely want to jump into that. It's about
Okay.
going slow and what that means. And I definitely want to hear your comments. So let
Okay.
me read your bio and then we
Mm-hmm.
will jump in and start going for it. So, hello, everyone. I am Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor located here in Southern California. And my colleague and partner is Crystal Mitchell. She's a business coach and consultant, the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of the Business Zone. That's another weekly radio broadcast. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College. Oh, I'm sorry, the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. Let's get that right. Don't want to forget Gilbert. She's a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. How you doing, Crystal?
I am good. And yourself? I'm glad
Doing
to
well.
be here.
How is Gilbert? I haven't heard you say very much about him lately.
He is going through the trying to work out the legalities right now.
Uh,
And so
but he is
that's
healthy.
hmm.
He is healthy.
He is. Yeah, his eyes are getting better. He now he has restrictions from the attorney, so he's not technically supposed to be working, but we all entrepreneurs, so when you don't make no money, boy, you gotta like stop and think and have some thought process. So he can't do the show, so I've been running repeats, but in October I'm coming back. I'm just gonna bring on guest co-hosts every week.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so but he can't. Who knows how long that's going to be?
Wow.
Unfortunately for him, um, I don't know. So today I think he was going to the attorneys to kind of get some clarity.
I see. I see. Well,
Yeah,
please tell him I thinking about him, wishing him well, and sending the prayers.
I certainly will. He'd appreciate that.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Today's topic is slowing down, why that's important when it comes to investing. And you probably have been in the same situation as I find myself in often, where folks just want to know what the answer is. They just want to know how do I do X, rather than taking some time and learning about where they are. And as you know, I have this club where we explore bourbon, and I was just thinking that bourbon. There's a lot. There's a lot of similarity between bourbon and investing. Now, stay with me. Don't 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 go crazy on me. And I mean in the similarity in that they both take a lot of time, and they both take a lot of understanding. And there's a lot of whiskey out there, and not one whiskey is right for everyone. And even if the whiskey is right for a majority of the people, it's different for everyone. And I think that is most brought out or examined or seen when we talk about investing, and especially 401ks, especially when we're looking at how much do I need to save for retirement.
Mm.
So, all that to say is, let's just jump right in here.
All right,
So,
sounds good.
yeah. So, first thing off, if you were a bourbon fan, you would know that bourbon takes years to assure, and you really can't rush that, right? So, if you want something that takes less amount of time, you got to drink something else. So, for example, tequila doesn't take near the amount of time that bourbon does to actually reach its potential. Tequila's, you grow the plant, you let it store for a couple of years, depending on what you like. After a couple of years at the most, you've got some good tequila. And then you can go on from there. You can age it more, you can put more charcoal, you can do all kinds of things to it. But it certainly doesn't take the same amount of time as bourbon does. And then if we go to something like gin or vodka, the time is dramatically less. So
Okay.
what does that mean? Does that mean that those products are better? No, they're just different, and they're used for different things. Sometimes we can swap a bourbon out for a gin, but not always. It doesn't work all the time. We're getting into some of my favorite cocktails, but uh, bourbon is a tool. I'm sorry, bourbon is a cocktail, and it works in a particular way. And if you rush the process, if you mess it up, if you skip stuff, if you don't know what's going on, you don't get good bourbon at the end, right? You
Mm.
don't get that nice taste. You don't get that nice flavor. Same with investing in your 401k plan. It takes time. It's only one tool. It's only one kind of investment. It's not the end all be all. It's not going to be everything for everyone. It, it's a process where you invest for a long time, and at the end of that time, you have assets which you can use during your retirement. If you don't put enough in, if you don't diversify, if you don't follow the rules, if you don't make it work the way it's supposed to and work for you, the client, you don't get you don't get a retirement income. You don't get what it
Right.
is that you're looking for. So in those ways, I think they're very, very similar. And often, in this business, we look at the concept of speed versus wisdom. And as you know, I can talk. You probably hadn't noticed. But, you know, uh, speed is not, it's education is extremely important. So knowing what it is that you have, knowing how that works, knowing where it's supposed to end up, putting all those things together doesn't come with speed. It comes with understanding, education. Some people would say it would come with wisdom. I don't know if I'd want to say that because then I think I would be self-aggrandizing. But
No, I think wisdom is in there because, yeah, I think you have to really understand what you're reading and what you're researching for, and understanding all the complexities that possibly may be involved in it.
I think you're right. Can you now, you and I have been in this business for a while, and we've met people that say, I don't want to look at I don't want to look at my portfolio. It's only going to make me sad. I don't want to look at it because if I do, I'm going to pull things out and I'm going to make mistakes. And to that, I can say, if you were making bourbon, something that might take you 12, 13, 14 years to make, if you're going to look at bourbon and you are going to not check on it from time to time, you're going to just not look at it and just let it be what it is. And at the end of that process, some period of time, you are going to expect it to perform the way that you want it to. You'd be sadly, sadly mistaken. There are things that you're going to need to do along the way to make sure that your product turns out the way that it's supposed to happen, right? Same thing with investing. We call that rebalancing your portfolio. We call that taking that risk questionnaire so that you make sure you have the same amount of risk. We call that diversification, making sure that you have the right mix of investments that's right for you,
Mm-hmm.
not some other guy, but for you, for the product that you're making. Uh, we make sure that those things are correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I would say in my world, same thing. Making taking your time with business as well when you're first starting your own business, and even in times like right now where we have very turbulent um, um, times that are affecting a lot of different industries. You have to really take your time and think things through from a financial standpoint, because you know just like your home, you have to stop and think, okay, if I'm losing customers based upon what's happening in the economy we're in and the political season we're in, then how can I what do I need to be doing? And then the other side of that is, and I think this affects everyone, is technology moves extremely fast nowadays. And so, as a business owner, you can't afford to sleep on new things that are out there because it will make your business obsolete. And so I think it falls right there along with your investments and your retirement plan because if you're not, if you're allowing someone else to manage that and you think that you don't need to tap in or understand what's going on, you're going to be the one that's going to be affected on the back end because they're thinking for the whole, and you need to be thinking for the individual. So I think I think planning and going slow and understanding what is happening and how it affects you in the now and in the future is vitally important.
I don't think you could have said it better than that. I just had someone say to me today, should I get a long-term care plan, or should I get, or how should I do that? What should I do about that? And of course, I said, it really depends on you, your family history, and what your plan is, the assets you have. Everybody is different, and you have to know what the products are. I suggested if you can get that through work, that's an interesting situation. You may want to consider a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider or something like that. You definitely want to explore that, and you can't do that quickly. And I think even more importantly, you have to look at who you're talking to get that product from, who's helping with that. Because I will tell you right here and now, I am a salesman. I am. And I try not to think this way, but you've heard that expression, when you are a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So if you've got a bunch of people in the room that are all trying to sell you different financial products, and they think that their product can solve all of your problems, then you've got to take a step back and go, wait a minute. You people are salesmen, appreciate that, but I need to use perhaps 3 or 4 of these products to make a good decision for my particular life. And the only way you can really understand that is to take your time and to investigate them all. But I like the comment that you brought up about getting into business now. I think it's always a good time to get into business. Always, always a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make sure that you do it the right way. So many of my colleagues that are in business for themselves, they forget that they have to pay taxes. They forget that they may need to employ others. They forget that they constantly have to renew their craft in order to be efficient. Because like you said, technology is always changing, and especially nowadays. Oh my goodness. The things that I remember graduating from high school, and we had people going to school to learn how to run office machines, copiers, faxes, all sorts of other kinds of typewriter things. We don't; those things don't even exist. Some of those don't even exist now.
They don't.
And we certainly don't have people going to college or going to school to learn how to use them, right? So the point that I'm trying to bring out is, don't be so quick to choose the one thing that's going to work. And don't be so quick to say, you know what, I don't understand this. I'm just going to give this to people that do. I'm just going to say it right here now. Don't be so quick to do that. Take some time to understand a little bit about the product, a little bit about what's happening and what you can expect. I don't think you have to learn. This is an old thing I used to say. You don't have to understand how an internal combustion engine works to know how to operate your car safely and be a good driver. But you do need to be a good driver. Right?
Yes.
So you do need to know to put the oil in. You do need to know that you need gas. You do need to know how to change the gears if you happen to have a stick. There's some things you do need to know, and you need to know what it's supposed to sound like, and what that, and if there is something going on, you need to know that it's time to take this guy in. You need to know when to do that checkup. You can't just let it go and then decide that it's going to be okay. You're going to run into issues. The same
Right.
thing with investing for your retirement, and I would say even any business.
Yeah, I would say that too. And I think, but even if you don't know how the engine was built, you definitely have to have some idea, because when you go to the mechanic, you just can't leave it all up to them. That's
Right?
for sure.
Fix me. Fix me.
You're like, oh, I trust you. No, you can't. So you do
Yeah.
have to know that. But I agree with you. And yeah, and right now I was talking to someone the other day, because everyone is terrified, or some folks are terrified about AI, and I've used it, just figuring. I mean, I'm pretty good with computer digital products, but I actually start taking a course in the various types of AI, and I've learned some amazing things, how it can really benefit your business, um, uh, as in many ways, especially depending on the type of business that you do or how you do your business. And yeah, some industries are going to go away, but there are other industries that are going to flourish, and other businesses that are going to flourish. But you really need to understand what is the driver behind it, and how can it help your company and you grow your business and make your business easier for you, to generate more revenue, because that's really what it's all about, right? So I think it's important, imperative, that people um, expand their mind, because like you said, the typewriter is no longer here. Nobody doesn't even have a Selectric, because that's what they were back
Yes.
in the day. No
Hello.
one's using a 10 key adding machine, because you have
Right.
your own computer in your phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so with technology, you can't want technology on this hand and then not want it on this hand. It just doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
but and when we talk about retirement, I think there's so many tools that can help you now that were not there 10 years ago. So you can understand exactly how your stocks or your bonds or your mutual funds are actually performing nowadays. That wasn't really known to everyone back in the day, especially when I was in the insurance industry. You had to meet with your clients always, and they didn't have a clue, so it was like talking to a blank slate, and you just kept talking. But but now there are, and I just think people have to kind of get with the program.
You're right. It's as much as I value in-person meetings, and as much as I like to help people understand the truth, I have to realize that there are lots of people that just don't have time to do that. They just don't. So, having Zoom conversations, having conversations via text is not something that I like to do. But having email conversations, that's a reality. It's just the way things are. And they're not going to get to the point where we can have more in person conversations because we're not having email conversation. Those days are gone. Perhaps, we can have uh, more. We can free up our time because we're maybe not having all the conversations that we have or that we have right now. But the reality of the situation is we're all out here running, and we're all out here trying to do the best that we can for our friends and our family, mostly for our family and ourselves. So we've got to make things happen, which means if I can free up some of the admin things that I do by using something like AI, I'm going to do that so that I can get in touch with more people. So everybody's job is doing that. And now we have this opportunity, I would say, to learn AI, to get it, and to use it in all of our lives. And God bless you if you're someone that's thinking, I can't do this because I just don't have any understanding. I don't do that. And I mean, Lord help you, because I'm afraid the world is eventually going to pass you by. You're not going to be able to stay in touch. You're going to be affected by what's going on in the world, um, more than you want to, and in ways that you don't want to be affected by it. It's not like we have that opportunity to, let's say, I'm just going to let that pass me by, and I'm just going to stay in my little corner of the world. And if the world really wants to deal with me, then it'll come to talk with me. That's just not the way things work. You can let it pass you by, and when the world wants to deal with you, it will smack you. It will smack you hard, and you will be left out in the cold, going, "How come I'm not? How come no one's protecting me? How come no one is taking care of me? How come no one is making sure that I'm okay?" And unfortunately, the world just doesn't care. It's just going to keep going. It's going to keep spinning. Yeah. I had a girlfriend once, and she would say that sometimes her mom would come in and say things to her father, and her father would say, "Quick, run outside, see if the world is still spinning. Oh my goodness." He's a man who's very difficult to win an argument with.
Yeah. So I think yeah. So I agree. I think I know when back in, and that's been a long time. It was when I was actually in corporate America, and so I've been in corporate America in numerous of years. But I knew most of our people didn't even, excuse me, they didn't even understand pension plans. They didn't even know what they had signed up for, and nor did they ask. Especially the young ones, because the young ones are the young ones. But even the older were the ones that I think during that period, people weren't even staying on jobs more than 3 to 4 years at a time. Because that was just the nature of the game at that, the thing at that time. So the retirement plans and how it was being invested and who was administrating and all that sort of stuff and what it was invested in really didn't leave an imprint on them at all. I think people are much more savvy today. Um, back then, the economy was entirely different. So now we are thinking about the future. How am I going to be able to survive if I don't work? How am I going to bring money in every month? And our needs have grown from 30 years ago. We live in a lap of creature comforts right about now. So we want to maintain our creature comforts, right? Even if we have to, and we're not all that comfortable with making adjustments, but you have to make some adjustments. And so I think it's very, very important. So I think, yeah, it does apply.
Yeah. I want to bring this, I think you're absolutely right. I want to bring this back around to where we started with, which means slowing down. And by that, I mean understanding what it is that you're investing in. Don't leave it up to someone just to make those decisions for you. As much as we have to trust our mechanic to fix our car, we still have to know when it's not working right. And we still have to know when to take it in. And we still need regular maintenance. So when it comes to your finances, please take some time to learn as much as you can to where you can feel comfortable about what that item is so that you can at least ask questions about it. Learn what that is and learn when you have to adjust it. Learn to talk to that, set up those appointments with your financial advisors, all 2 or 3 or 4 of them, however many you have, and set up that schedule for you to review what's appropriate for you, because things change. They just do. New products come out, new ways of looking at things come out, and you want to make sure that your portfolio is constantly being adjusted for you in particular. What's best for you? And we can talk about, what's best for the folks in general. We can talk about general ideas, but what's really going to be best for you? How is this going to work for you? I can't emphasize that more than I can do. I just can't. I'll give you one example. I had a friend, very close friend of mine, who did not trust investing. She didn't trust it at all.
Mm.
And if you gave her $1 today and it wasn't there tomorrow, there would be no peace in the household. She just could not handle that. She couldn't get any sleep. Her friends around her couldn't get any sleep because she would be worried about that. So she needed a very, very conservative portfolio. Now, some people would say, well, you're young, you can bounce back. But if you don't know that the investment that keeps you up at night is not a good investment, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
And who knows, by having a very conservative portfolio, she didn't have to worry about the ups and downs that were happening in the market, right? She didn't have to worry about that. Her portfolio was very conservative, and she had some money in the bank that was FDIC insured, and that worked for her. Now, would she have made as much money if someone outside? Maybe not. But by making sure that she knew that she needed to save more to put more money in the bank, that she wasn't risking her money, so she wasn't getting that benefit of risk/reward, having her understand that was great, because her expectations were dramatically different than someone who just didn't know. Right? Fast forward 40 years, now this person is, she's more of a very moderate to aggressive investor. She's in her 60s. She ain't worried about it. She's just not worried at all. So now the right portfolio for her is something like maybe 80% stock and 20% bonds. Now, some people would say that's kind of aggressive for someone in their mid 60s, but they don't know this person. Now this person is feeling, I'm going to be okay. I got this. I'm not worried about this. It's going to be all right.
Right.
So as an investment professional, I have to respect that. I have to say, okay, let's see how that works into your portfolio and your life. And if that's okay with you, let's do that. But as a consumer, she has to be able to look at me and say, that conservative portfolio, that's not appropriate for me right now. I don't need that. And that's entirely appropriate for her to do that. But the only way that you can do that type of analysis is to slow down and understand what you have, how it's supposed to work, and what you need it to do, and understand the tools that you can use to get yourself to where you need to go.
Right.
And I'm certainly not suggesting that you have all the tools. A friend of mine gave me a call yesterday, and she said, okay, I've been told that I should give my money to this investment banker so that he can invest in crypto for me. And I said to her, good to connect with a professional. Are you ready for those ups and downs? Do you understand what that means? Because I'm not suggesting that crypto is a bad way to invest. I'm not suggesting that at all. I think crypto is a wonderful way to invest. And if you take some analogy, some people would say that it's better or worse than the stock market. I said to her, it's all about buyers and sellers, right? What's going to make the value of whatever it is go up is somebody wants to buy it. There are people that buy crypto. There are people that buy stocks and bonds. It's all about buyers and sellers. If you're able to handle that, then great. Do what you got to do. I said to her, but you haven't even maxed out your 401k plan yet. Right?
Darn that truth.
Right? And then I said to her, if you're thinking right here and now that you don't have time to max out your 401k plan, so you need to take the risk that's associated with crypto, if that's what you're thinking, and you're okay taking that risk, go ahead, do your thing. But when it falls on its face, you can't say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then on the other hand, if you're not going to invest in cryptocurrency, if you're not going to do that, and you're going to take the slow, easy path of that 401k, and you end up running out of money because you don't get the return that you need, then you can't say, I should have tried something different. You can't say that. You got to say, I took that slow, easy path and it wasn't appropriate. So it's not necessarily which one is better or worse. What's more appropriate is which one is going to work for you. and which one is going to make sure that you're comfortable investing the way that works for you. And you can't
Yeah.
get that unless you have knowledge. You got to
Right.
get education. You got to slow down, and you can't just trust people, right? You got to ask them questions.
Yep. Right. Exactly.
So the last thing on my little sheet here is slowing down isn't about inaction. It's about making space for clarity. And I can't emphasize that enough. So that's all I got.
Okay, I think that's good, and again, this is advice not just for this is right now. This is advice for life, because you just can't take everything at face value, and you can't take everything that people tell you to be gospel. You have to go out there and do your research to find your own gospel and to understand what it is and how it applies to you, because nothing in this life is a one size fit all. Your situation is entirely different than my situation, and vice versa. And so you just can't hear generic stuff out there and assume that it fits your scenario, because it doesn't.
Wow. I thought I was going to give you the last word, but I think you just did it. I think that is. Well, Crystal, it is always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I'm going to read your bio one more time, and
Okay.
then we'll call it a day. So, hello, everyone. This has been me, Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor, and my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell, talking with you about slow down, get yourself educated, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid
Right.
to understand what these products are and how they work specifically in your life. And do yourself a favor, check in with your financial advisors.
Right.
Crystal Mitchell is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's also the co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other radio. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, great to hang out with you. We'll see you next week on Monday.
All righty, same here.
All right, everyone. See you next week on
Bye-bye,
Monday.
everyone. Have a great one. Be safe out there.
Indeed. Take care now. Bye-bye.